So Elizabeth Sanchez, Noberto Lopez, and Karen Guzman. Let me come up to the mic.
Hi, my name is Liz. I'm from SQE and I'm from Cal State Fullerton. Yesterday I said I wasn't proud to be a Titan, and I think that is starting to change. As a queer student, I felt like a student that just attended Cal State Fullerton. I started my classes in humanities, meeting inspirational professors and students. I started finding my identity as a student, a sociologist, a feminist, and a radical activist. Students at Cal State Fullerton started the activist group Student Coalition. We started working with amazing groups like MESA and the Black Student Union. This amazing organization entered my life, Students for Quality Education, a group that stands in solidarity for those in need. This group doesn't necessarily speak for students, instead they empower students. This is something I'm told that you're all supposed to be doing. Instead, you all feed into the bureaucracy and take money and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars for yourself and our alleged future. Well, we are here to tell you that we don't need more advisement or success programs. We need full support for faculty, including adjuncts, students, and staff. And if the presidents and the BOT are not quite listening, then Maggie and George, you came out yesterday, you spoke with us, you said you would stand in solidarity with us, and we trust you. So let's please continue to work together. I want to lastly state that I'm very proud to be part of this movement. I'm proud to be part of the CSU. Mildred, I'm starting to become proud to be a Titan because of SQE, because of MESA, because of the Black Student Union, because of queer people of color and all the cultural groups that you're so glad to talk about. But you need to start talking to us. You need to start working with us, just like the rest of the presidents here. You need to start working with the students. We're counting on all of you. Chancellor White, students that couldn't make it, you need to take these and you need to read all of them. If someone get these? These are notes from students who couldn't make it. So you need to make sure to read all of them because all their thoughts are here in those postcards and they're concerned. So please make sure to read them and share them and make sure to work with the students. Thank you.
And just a note on our timer, I think they're getting it to work now, but if not, I will let you know when your time is up. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Isaiah. Dear Board of Trustees, we can't stand for another tuition raise. Why tuition has raised 283% from 2002 to 2012 is beyond reason. You always say that raising tuition is a last resort. Well, given the nature and timing of your last proposal, it seems as though you treat raising tuition as a first reaction. Managing our money better is your priority. Invest in your students and you invest in the future of the U.S. economy. Increasing barriers to entry by raising tuition is not an investment. $350,000 salaries to our presidents is not an investment. Maintaining low wages for teachers and thereby lowering competition is not an investment. Here's another astounding statistic. The 16 voters of you make decisions for nearly 475,000 students statewide. Of that 16, only one is a student, Ms. Maggie White. Ms. White, I commend you for the job you do to represent us and vote for us, our collective student body. Thank you. However, Ms. White is only one person. This one person, this one vote, is the sole representative of the largest and most diverse student body in the United States. Our student body itches to be heard, yet we only have one voice in the Board of Trustees. Dear Board of Trustees, how can we trust you when you only trust one of us? How is it that you have the power to make decisions regarding our tuition without our representation? I propose that our trustees consider adding more student representatives to the board in order to protect against inadequate student representation, to make the board aware of the widely diverse perspectives and the CSU system, to raise our students' awareness of the important decisions being made at meetings such as this one, and finally to enforce a check and balance with the trustees to make sure that unfavorable propositions like your student tuition raise stop before they even begin. I'd last like to share that I'm a student. I'm double majoring in accounting and philosophy, and the CSU system is my only way to make it out of the cycle of poverty that I've been going through. Please don't make it harder for me. Don't make it harder for my family. I already work 2 jobs. I'm president of my own club. I'm going to be interning with SQE. I'm going to be interning for the Residential Housing Association, and this is all just to make ends meet. Don't raise tuition. Don't exclude me and my family. And one more thing, I have a baby on the way. So please, don't raise tuition. $270 is food for my daughter. Thank you.
Karen Guzman.
Good morning. My name is Paola Daniela Leyva. I am here representing Mesa Cooperativa, Lambda Theta Alpha Latin Sorority Incorporated, as well as SQE and undocumented students and homeless students. I am first generation college student. I come from an immigrant household. My father always helps me with my education. I stand before you today recognizing my privilege, because even though I do come from an immigrant household, and even though my father works in construction to help me with my financial needs, I ask that you, where you're sitting today, recognize your own privilege and realize that there are certain people, certain students that don't have a certain lifestyle. In the CSU system, 1 in every 10 students is homeless. In the CSU system, we have a number of undocumented students. What does that mean? What does that mean to my campus? What does that mean to me? That means that 1 in every 10 students at Cal State Fullerton goes to class, does their work, not knowing when their next meal will be, not knowing where they will be spending that night. That means that the undocumented students that attend the system do not know if they will even be able to use that degree one day, but they still go to school, they still do their work with hopes and dreams. This past election, has done a disservice to America. We have allowed hate, fear, racism, and prejudice and self-interest win. I ask of all of you to please help us fight that by not allowing a bourgeoisie ideology dictate the future of the students in the CSU system. I ask that even though you all have privileges like myself, we all stand in solidarity and we give voice to the people that can't be here today because they're working in fear of whether or not they will be able to pay tuition next year. And I ask that you also stand up and be a voice for my community in the shadows who doesn't know if one day they'll be able to use that degree. Thank you.
And before I call the next speakers, just a reminder, please, I'll be calling the names on the list for those who have requested to speak before the board today. So I ask that if your name is called, that you please come to the mic, and if your name is not called, that you please see me after. Thank you very much. So again, Karen Guzman, Mick Bruckner, Erica Zamora, Estuardo Ruano.
So we actually exchanged one of the names for myself. My name is actually Eric Medrano.
And you're speaking for whom?
Well, one for San Jose State and part of SQE as well.
And whose place are you taking?
I believe it was Mick Bruckner.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You ready to go?
Okay, well, hello everyone. Given the short amount of time that I have here, I'll go ahead and jump right into it. There are many good reasons why students oppose the 5% increase on tuition, and here's mine. This semester, my financial aid just came in about 2 weeks ago due to a system error. Thus, I brought about $3,660 from my sister and my cousin's savings accounts. My family struggles financially, and having to borrow any amount of money from any one of them hurts me and places them in a dire situation on the verge of losing their home. This, on top of the $8,000 that I've already borrowed in previous semesters, just to scrape by and pay off my tuition, buy textbooks, pay for utilities, groceries, pay rent, which is ridiculously high living in the Silicon Valley, and a plethora of other things. This situation is not special to myself, as I've heard many other students receive their financial aid late or have it withdrawn completely due to system or human errors. This affects a large portion of students, especially undocumented students not eligible for financial aid. And even if students do receive financial aid, it is never enough to cover living expenses. You fail to address the real reasons as to why students do not graduate within 4 years. I'm currently working 3 jobs and in debt, yet you still contemplate such a ludicrous idea as raising the already high cost of tuition, further exasperating the issue. I urge you to stop treating the CSU like a corporation simply to produce the highest yield of human talent at the expense of the students' sanity and their freedom. Thank you, and I hope you consider my story as a student attending San Jose State.
Rosa Barrientos from Sacramento State. November 8th shook my entire life. For undocumented students, it took a turn for the worst. I came back home and I had to prepare my 13-year-old sister for the threat of deportation. I explained to her the procedure, the simple fact of opening the door in case it was ICE. How do you explain a warning to a 13-year-old? Yet alone give her that responsibility at such a young age. I broke down. How do I leave my family here in LA and go back to Sacramento? As a DACA recipient, I don't know when my work permit will expire. If it expires January 20th, I will have to drop out of Sacramento State. I shouldn't have to drop out because this is my dream of getting an education, something I worked so hard because of my status. How am I gonna afford my rent, my food? How will I come up with the rest of the tuition without my 2 jobs? Although these are the feelings from the president-elect, it's not the first time I felt them. USSIS was on my campus at Sacramento State. There was a vehicle parked outside the well, and nobody knew why. For 2 days, the administration at my school didn't know why. They had to go outside to the Congress member that represents this area to find out why they were on campus. Do you know what that means for undocumented students? 2 days not knowing why an ICE vehicle was on campus? It's uncertainties. For me, it's the fear of being deported. Not only me, but at the community I have at Sacramento State. 2 days where the world of undocumented students at Sacramento State, it froze. So many of them could have dropped out because they didn't know why they were on campus. What's worse is that frustration, we expressed it to our administration. And you know what they let happen? Last month, they allowed Customs Border Patrol to be at a career fair. Not one single email, nothing to warn us. I had to stand up. Yes, we protested them. But you know what's the worst part? Having to be strong for your peers. Having to have a strong face and let them cry on your shoulder. Having to hear them say, how do I act normal? How do I act as a U.S. citizen so they won't know I'm undocumented? This is harassment from Sacramento State and the CSU system. I was never afraid to say I was undocumented. Yes, I'm undocumented. Yes, I'm proud. But this is too much. Sharing with you all that I am undocumented is scary. Doing an action on campus to protest these entities is scary because I don't know what type of retaliation I will get because I do not have the support.
Thank you, Rosa, for sharing your comments. If you could please
I'm not done. I demand that Chancellor White and the Board of Trustees that you make the CSU system a sanctuary institute because this is not allowed. I will not back down. I am the documented student of the CSU system. There's over 800 at Sacramento State, over thousands in the CSU system. You owe us for us to feel safe. I demand a sanctuary campus, a sanctuary institute where I do not have to fear for my life, where
Thank you. We'll proceed with Estuardo Ruano, Pat Gant, Susan Smith. You can come to the mic in any order, please.
Hello? Okay. That works. Good morning, Board of Trustees, Presidents, and Chancellor Timothy White. My name is Estuardo Ruano. I am a student at Cal State Dominguez Hills and the SQE President. I would like to begin by thanking Michelle Kiss for granting me the opportunity to speak today. In addition, I would also like to show my gratitude for President Hagan. He is an integral part towards the progression and future of our university. I have listened to the concerns of the students, and I have witnessed the issues that the Cal State University system is facing. It is time to start coming up with solutions. We are creating a bubble with the student debt. $1.4 trillion in student debt. Just like the housing bubble and the dot-com bubble, the imminent crisis that is building our student loan system is going to cripple our economy, and it is damaging the well-being of the students carrying the burden. I want to propel us forward and find solutions together. I'm here today to establish communication between us, Students for Quality Education, and you, the Board of Trustees. I extend an invitation to all of you who want to see progressive changes achieved to discuss possible solutions together. I recognize that the board is aligned with us in wanting to make our CSU system better. Raising tuition is one of the many paths that can be taken to achieve our common goal, which is to provide a high-quality education to the students in California. I am confident that we can establish a positive relationship to benefit staff, faculty, students, and administrators. A better tomorrow begins with today. And today, I am extending that invitation to establish a legacy that you can be proud of that serves and benefits everyone. Education should be an investment, not a burden. And I am certain through our intellectual resilience that we'll create a positive environment where education thrives in. I hope you listen to my plea and take into consideration what I said. And I'm welcome to work with all or any of you. Thank you.
Good morning again, trustees. My speech just went out the window, but I wanted to follow up on a part of my comments based upon comments from Trustee Carney and the brave young woman from SQEU. Last night at the Labor Council, I shared a memo that Tim White gave to me that he had sent to the campus presidents regarding DACA individuals and campus police, where the university police will not be agents for the federal government. That's fine. But based upon what the student has said, and there are DACA individuals, students and employees. There are employees in the bargaining units I represent that are DACA individuals. They are Dreamer students. They went through the educational system. They got their degree and they chose to work for the CSU. They're your employees, they're your students. If we all work together, the CSU can't make every campus a sanctuary. Please do it.
Just wanted to let you know that Susan has yielded her time to me. I'm Loretta Savatasi. I'm also on the list, so I'm just going to go ahead. Good morning. Loretta Savatasi, VP for Finance, CSUU, and I work at San Francisco State University. I want to speak on two items from listening and observing yesterday's committee meetings, namely Educational Policy Committee and most importantly, Finance. I enjoyed the presentation on Graduation Success Initiative and the rollout of the dashboards for potential students and faculty. It was comforting to hear that this initiative is not about forcing students to complete in 4 years. However, I feel you left one important item which I heard from many students. Housing and food is a major issue. 61% of our students get full financial aid, which, as you heard, is still not enough. Is still not enough for them to meet all of their expenses. Please take that into consideration, because it affects students' ability to finish out at some of our campuses, which has nothing to do with the quality of programs, but the reality of increased costs, yet little to no increase in revenue or funds from the state to support public higher education. Secondly, finance. I'm the finance officer, so my heart goes out to Mr. Storm, Vice Chancellor Relier, because money talks. So the ask for 17-18 is $343 million, which includes $75 million for the Student Graduation Initiative and $55 million for staff compensation above what's been negotiated in contracts. Great discussion, and my first comment is, please, let us listen with understanding. All voices matter, as you've heard from our students this morning. Lastly, plans are just that, but money talks. So our priority as staff, students, faculty, campus presidents, and trustees is to lobby the legislature for more stable, ongoing funding for the CSU. We are worth it. Prop 55 is only a start. So let's work together collaboratively to get more state dollars for our 23 campuses and Office of the Chancellor. Together we can do it. Happy Thanksgiving. We have a lot to be thankful for. Thank you.
Neil Jacqueline, Mike Chavez, Ricardo Uch. Thank you.
So, Ricardo.
Thank you. Tessie Reese, Rocky Sanchez, William Blishke, Margarita Berta Avila.
Tessie Reese yielded to the students, and I want to applaud the young woman who spoke up. Please listen. And that's all. Thank you.
Rocky Sanchez, Chair Bargaining Unit 7, CSU EU from Cal Poly Pomona. I give my time to students.
My name is Margarita Bertavila. I'm here representing California Faculty Association and in solidarity with our students that are here today. I'm here today to ask you to take a step back and reflect on our purpose as a California State University system. I would venture to say that our purpose is one, create change that serves the better good. Change that is more pertinent today, particularly when we live in an era in which silence and inaction is not an option. And two, simultaneously providing our students with quality education that is accessible and equitable to enact the change we all envision as a community. However, I caution us because as a body, we often mistaken my latter statements as one that means service. And forget that at the core are our students. A collective that demonstrates every day a resiliency to achieve, not only for themselves, but for their families and all those who did not have the opportunity to be where they are today due to race, class, gender, status, and all the isms we confront. Their very presence is an act of resistance. It is a political act for justice. So when we forget that, we risk justifying inequitable acts, decisions, under the guise of preparing our students for a lifetime of personal and professional success. You might be asking yourself, under what guise are we working from? The contemplation of a potential tuition increase of undergraduate and graduate students that would raise the annual tuition price is an example. On the one hand, you as the board and campuses across the state purport via the Graduation Initiative 2025 that the CSU is committed to improving the opportunities for a more timely graduation for all students. But yet you are asking them to foot the bill to graduate sooner. As you have heard, and we will hear from students that have spoken today, This will force them to work more, increase their debt, place students in dire situations such as homelessness, and ultimately push students of color, low-income students out. Yes, we have heard your argument that 60% of our students receive funding and therefore the impact won't be strenuous, but be careful to speak from a position and not note the experiences, realities of those 60%, and even more importantly, be careful to speak from a position of privilege when you forget our most vulnerable, like our undocumented dreamer students who do not have access to the resources you will claim they have. In asking you all to take a step back and your students. Across the CSU system, we have over thousands who are undocumented and who have various admission classification statuses. In the aftermath of the national elections, President Trump's first 100-day plan already includes the revocation of Obama's executive orders among DACA, which are important reforms. As my fellow colleague Julia Curry expressed so profoundly in a letter directed to her university president at San Jose State, how will the CSU protect the sacred lives of vulnerable populations from the imminent danger of the newly empowered politics of hate and intolerance in the national government? What will the CSU system do to ensure a commitment to accessible and quality education to all students, particularly to undocumented and vulnerable populations? What can you do, Chancellor White? What will our local institutions do? And that's what I want you to leave with and think about. Thank you very much.
Good morning.